Hey everyone, this is Kevin from Kevin's Micro Fleet. Today we're going to be doing another Micro Galaxy Squadron review. We're going to be taking a look at the Amazon exclusive Ahsoka Tano's Jedi Starfighter set. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the vehicle, at the figures. We're going to do some measurements and we'll do a comparison. Let's go ahead and dive into the review. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the packaging. So this being an Amazon exclusive, one of the great things that Jazzwares has done now is they're actually sending this in their own individual shipper box. So this one, unfortunately, I had the labels right on top of the front of this one, so as I removed them, it ripped all of the words right off of it. But that is nice that it comes in this box. You can have it shipped in this box, or you can have this box put inside of another box to be able to protect it. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the actual packaging. So here is what it looks like on the outside. So as you can see when I showed this product off, it looks really nice with the Interceptor and the Starfighter right next to one another. The details on it are really cool as we'll get into it. So here you can see on the bottom, Ahsoka Tano's Jedi Starfighter set. You can actually see here is a picture of the items, number 113. As we turn it to the side, we get a chance to see Ahsoka there fighting. Oh, look at that. So that is the V-19 Torrent, which is coming in Series 5, it's supposed to be in Series 5. Then we got a couple of Vulture droids that are fighting, which is pretty cool. And then we turn this thing to the side, and now we've got the back. So we get a chance to see, here is what the Jedi Starfighter looks like, some of the different features to it, the features of the Interceptor. You get a couple of cutouts there. And then it says here on the bottom, these are both light armor class. So the Starfighter has now moved to the light armor class as they're no longer doing the hyperspace rings, which we'll talk about as a comparison as we get into this. And then here we go, we see this on the side, some more box art there, Anakin and Ahsoka in the Jedi Interceptor. Now, when you open this up, so again, just from the blister pack perspective, there is nothing else in this. It's just the two vehicles and then the figure pack. And then here is the cutout from the interior portion of the box. So there really isn't much to this. It's just some asteroids. I mean, I guess it would be cool to set this down and have them flying in. But the problem is, because you don't get a stand or anything with this, if you set them down on this to use it as a display, they're both just sitting down here, and so the background becomes somewhat useless. But that is that. So now let's go ahead and dive into the figures. So there is quite a bit to do here as we go through and do a comparison of the Series 1 Scout class, Ahsoka on her speeder, and then we've got the Chase, which is from Series 2 Starfighter class, and then we've got this version. So I'm going to start with the figures and then go from there. So as we're looking first here at the figures for this set, there's Ahsoka, and then you get R7, A7. And the one great thing that they've done with these now is that the droids, they've been able to figure out how to get the little panels on the top. So get this thing out of here first. There we go. Gosh, it's like glued in there. So here is our droid, again, R7A7. So you can see just a little bit of paint detail on them, and then the top of the dome looks amazing with that print. It's nice, and I would say relatively centered. Love that we get the panel lines versus what we get with the Chase version, which is just a yellow blob on top of it. So here is the difference between the two. And you can see, again, much better having the panels versus not having the panels. Overall, almost the same color. This version here might just be a shade more red than this one, which is a little bit more of the darker maroon. So that is your droid. We'll do a quick measurement for him. He's just over a ½ inch. So then as we move on to Ahsoka, so if we're looking at the figure herself, so here is the one from this set. So again, I would say great sculpt here. Really nice detail on the head tails there, as well as the sculpt of the figure looks really nice. And then if we look at her relative to her Series 1 version, you can see that they're really almost, I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, they're just reusing the Series 1 paint scheme. So you can see her, the lines on her head tails are kind of like a grayish blue, which if we compare that to now the Chase version of this, or the Rare from Series 2, you can see a huge difference there in the paint application of the head tails. So this is the Chase version, which is a lighter red, which is kind of interesting that you're getting kind of the difference there, that, you know, the Ahsoka from the Chase has a lighter red uniform, and the droid has a dark red, versus this one has a dark red and the droid is a light one. So anyways, that's what it is. So again, same sculpt between the two, just a little bit of difference in color there between them. Now, if we do a measurement on her, just to see how tall she is, she comes in at just under an inch. So that is your figures. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the Jedi Starfighter first. And we'll go through all of the details of it first, and then we'll go ahead and do our comparison. So you can see here the paint application looks really nice. They did a good job here of, they added a couple logos, which I'll show here when I do the comparison. They added a couple logos. You've got the landing gear here on the bottom, this great detail of this silver color. We got another logo there. These guys all go in. As we turn it around, we get the blue engines. And then we do get an opening cockpit as well. The cockpit opens up like that. And then you can pop your droid in there. Now, if we look at this compared to the, before we do that, actually, let me do a measurement. So here we go. Front to back here, we're looking at about 5.5 inches or so. Side to side is just under 3 inches, maybe 2, and oops, there we go. Just over 2.5 inches. And then the profile version like this it's only about an inch tall. So now if we do this, let me pop this out of the hyperspace ring first, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the comparison. So here they are next to one another. So you've got this version here, which is from the Ahsoka Jedi Starfighter set, and then this version, which is the Chase. You can see, starting with the star in the middle, you can see that the star on the Ahsoka Jedi Starfighter set is bigger, as well as the Republic cog right there is smaller. And so again, you can see the star there on the right side is a little bit smaller, logo is a little bigger. Then you can also see, if we're looking at the this like circular part here, this black part is a little bit smaller on this version versus this one. And then also you can see the difference in the paint application here, these yellow pieces. The yellow is slightly different. Then you have the cockpit. So the cockpit is also colored slightly different. So you can see that as this goes up towards the top of the cockpit, it's this you know, lightish version. I don't even know what to call that, maybe like a cream color, versus this one where it's all red. And then you can obviously see there are the Republic cogs. And then you've got the difference in the engine color, that the engine color there is blue. And you can see the difference in the engines now. There's the difference in the color. And then as we flip this thing all the way upside down, the amount of detail that they added on this, on the individual set is really nice. They put a lot more detail on the bottom of the vehicle versus what they did with the Rare version. And so that is that. It's great to be able to see these next to one another, because certainly as I was looking at this in the box, I was thinking, wow, that looks very similar. It's not a whole lot different. But it is quite a bit different. And you can also see the difference here on the inside of the cockpit, actually. So the tinting of those windows is about the same, but there's obviously a difference on the interior cockpit, where the one is white and the other is red. Pretty easy to tell them apart from one another. There's enough of a difference here in all of these paint applications for it to make sense for the series collector to have both of them. But I do like that they're giving the opportunity for people to be able to get this without having to hunt down and find the rare version. Now, one of the things that happens with these as well in this set is that they decided to go away from the hyperspace ring, which I think is a great option for the Jedi Starfighter, mainly because there are a lot more Jedi Starfighters that they could potentially do and be able to keep the price point lower instead of having to worry about putting it up into the Starfighter class and have the hyperspace ring. The other problem with the hyperspace ring is that there is no real way to display it. So if you were to put the hyperspace ring on this, kind of like you have here, this is a custom 3D printed stand that I have, that I made myself. But if you just have this thing on here, there's no way to display it. So you either are going to display it like this, with it kicked up like that, or with the hyperspace ring just sitting there in the background, which is kind of silly. So I do like that they're moving away from that so that we can get just the vehicle and at a lower price point. Now, one of the big questions is obviously, does the hyperspace ring fit on this one? So there we go. Snaps right in, just like it does with all of the other hyperspace rings, which is great. So if you had another Ahsoka chase and you wanted to have the hyperspace ring, you certainly could and be able to put this on there. Or you could get, the Obi-Wan and customize it if you wanted to. So if you want to see all of the details of the hyperspace ring, you can certainly check out my other video here, which shows all of the paint application on it, in case you wanted to customize one for yourself. So that is your Jedi Starfighter. So now let's go ahead and move on to the Interceptor. So, actually, I forgot, before I move on, let me compare this to one other Jedi Starfighter, which is the Transformers crossover. So you can see a very big difference, obviously, in the size. The Transformers crossover one was a great option when there was no Micro Galaxy Squadron, and if you're looking to get a Jedi Starfighter, you really had to go that route, which was kind of unfortunate because you can obviously see all of the panel lines. They do have some great options, but you can see the underside of this. I mean, it looks like a Transformer. So if you wanted to hunt that down, you certainly could. This does come with a hyperspace ring as well. It's part of the set. It does not come with a figure. It does have an open cockpit on it, which could house a figure, but there is no Ahsoka figure. And so it does come with a hyperspace ring. I just don't have it. So now we'll go ahead and move on to the Interceptor. So from a features perspective, the Interceptor has these landing gear here on the front and the back, which they do kind of sit in place. I would imagine that if you open and close those a lot, you're going to loosen it quite a bit, and then they might not stay closed. You also do get the wings that open, which is nice. So you can open that on both sides. There's a little teeny groove right here, or a little teeny raised edge, which helps you to open it. They don't lock in place, but they do open all the way. And then you have your cockpit here that will also open like that. So now, looking at this from a, from a paint application perspective, I love this thing. I'm a huge fan of these Interceptors. I like how Micro Galaxy Squadron was able to make them so small. I think it works out really nice. It's a great little, almost like a toy you could carry around in your pocket if you wanted to. But you've got the star here for Ahsoka. You've got these little, wings. The detail even continues on the bottom, which is really nice, where the wings come over and they hit like this flap here that's going to open up. The little teeny triangles there on the edges, and then you do get the engine glow there, which is really nice also. And then when the cockpit opens, again, like they've done with a lot of these, you can see this little clip right there in the middle, which is great because it will actually hold Ahsoka in place. So when you put the figure in there, one of the problems with some of the earlier ones that they came out with, especially with the Jedi Starfighter that did not have that little clip in there, the figures would just bounce around inside like crazy, and it wasn't very good. So now we can move her around. She's not going to fly around inside. We can go ahead and throw the droid here in the side, and then now she's ready to go off and cruise. So again, this doesn't come with a hyperspace ring, as well as the other Jedi Interceptors, which I figured I would compare this one to her master Anakin. And you can see the size is exactly the same. There's no difference in the size. All of the functionality is the exact same. This is actually the one from the Battle of Coruscant battle pack, where you get the R2 that actually has the dome that's painted, which is nice. And the one interesting thing about this is this Jedi Interceptor is really only featured for a very, very brief time in the series. So it's really cool that we actually get an opportunity to get this really this early, I would say, in the series for Micro Galaxy Squadron. And it's cool to have it as a battle pack. So now let's go ahead and do a final measurement. So from front to back here, this is 3.5 inches. And then side to side, it is 3 inches. Top to bottom here, it is just over an inch. With the wings open, it's going to be just a little bit more than that. So if you did like this video, if you could please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a link in the description below to a bunch of Amazon affiliate links for all of the Micro Galaxy Squadron stuff, as well as this set, if you're looking for that still. And then there's also a link to a Facebook page that I run with some friends from all over the world, other collectors of Micro Galaxy Squadron, and any micro toys for Star Wars that are out there. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next review.